Hello, everybody. Welcome back to ESPN's Football Forecast with myself, James Alcott, and my good friend Hugh Woozencroft. We're going to have a look at some of the big games this weekend and the big talking points as well, because so much is up in the air. At the moment, AC Milan versus Napoli on Sunday at the San Siro is being played, and we really hope it will do. And I think both teams will as well, because both teams need to rediscover the early form from the season, because the first 12 games, both teams unbeaten. But as time's progressed, they've both started to struggle a little bit, and this is a great opportunity for both of them. But, talk about things being up in the air, Hugh. So many injuries in this game. It really is that part of the season, isn't it, where a lot of teams do it at the bare bones.
Yeah, both of these teams have sort of fallen off, and I think injuries have played a very big part in that. Since the start of November, AC Milan have taken 8 points, Napoli have taken 5 points. That's 10th and 16th in the Serie A form guide. I mean, that is not going to get you in the Champions League if that continues long term. They'll both end up probably in the Europa League, if not mid-table. So they need to do something to arrest that right now. And they're just trying to find out exactly how they play without some of their key players missing. AC Milan's forward line massively depleted. No Rafael Leao, no Ante Rebic, no Olivier Giroud. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who's actually scored 4 in his last 5 in Serie A against Napoli, will have the onus on him if he's back in this game, because he doesn't play in every match and he doesn't certainly last 90 minutes in every game. And he will have to have huge responsibility if he's fit. You've got to look at the injuries at Napoli as well, for a big reason why. Victor Osimhen, their striker, talisman in many ways this season, 9 goals in 14 appearances, is out for 3 months after that huge facial injury, 6 plates, something like 18 screws in his face. We wish him very well, but they are missing him right now. The difference is, I think there's more of a team impact at Napoli in terms of chipping in with the goals. And that hasn't really happened in terms of the midfield, especially at AC Milan, and recovering in terms of their injuries as well. Mertens 6 for the season, Lozano 3, Insigne 5. That's okay-ish in terms of their front line, but the main impact has come from midfield. Ruiz has got 5, Zielinski's got 6. You've got Elmas with 5 goals. All of that in all competitions as well. So everyone's sort of chipping in at the moment at Napoli, which means I've got sort of more faith that they can get back to it, despite the fact that they, of course, have been beaten in their last 2 matches in Serie A. They will not want to lose 3 in a row. And so this is a massive game for them. And I think maybe leaning towards them and that team impact, because I think AC Milan are in a very difficult position right now as well.
Of course, AC Milan are above Napoli at the moment. 2 players that we haven't spoken about that are missing, Koulibaly and Simon Kjaer. And when we look at AC Milan in particular, you're right, so many forward players missing. That means there's going to be probably a lack of goals. I know AC Milan are really, really good on the counter-attack, but the defense is going to have to really be able to hold up here. And that makes me look at Fikayo Tomori, because he's been, he's gone from Chelsea and people thought, okay, is that the end of him in terms of being that elite centre-back? But I was watching some clips of him yesterday, and he's got that Fabio Cannavaro vibe about him. I know that's that's high praise, but it's such a huge season for him. With Simon Kjaer out, Romagnoli will be the skipper and will be the man alongside him. But playing in a back 4, there's no doubt for me he has the intelligence and that ability to sort of nip in front of a defender. It's the physicality sometimes that I wonder with him. Not the biggest of centre-backs, has that great spring, of course, as well. And as I say, great anticipation. But in a game like this, and you spoke about him, it always becomes about those big players. And when you talk about big players for AC Milan, it's going to be Zlatan down one end. And what I think for Tomori, it's going to be a great game for him, I think, because that physicality that you would expect from most top teams, you look at Inter Milan, for example, someone like Dzeko, someone that could really hurt Tomori. I don't think Napoli play that way. They play with Dries Mertens, he's gone from being a left winger to being a false 9 of sorts. And it's going to be a really interesting game, a real sort of cat and mouse game where Tomori will look to kind of anticipate a lot of the time, but that could leave that little bit of space in behind that Napoli often like to exploit. I think it's going to be an absolutely fascinating game, and one where if both of these teams still have expectations of winning Serie A this season, they need to win this one, because you've got Inter Milan playing, I think, Salernitana, and you would expect to win that game. So there's going to start to become a gap before this winter break. So it's such a huge game, isn't it?
Massive game for both the managers, massive game for both squads. And I agree with you, particularly Napoli. You need to get back to winning ways, to get back in this. You, of course, were at top of the league for a long time. You're now really trailing back and forth. That's not where you want to be. There is a good omen. AC Milan only have one win in their last 13 games versus Napoli. In a way, you want to favour them, not necessarily because of how they've played, but because of the need for a reaction after those two defeats. I think at the back, the experience of Kier will be a miss, of course, throughout the season for AC Milan. Romagnoli has that. Tomori doesn't. This is a big season for him. I agree with you, because he's building that experience. They're going to have to rely on one aspect of his game, I think, this weekend, and that is his pace, because I think there is a lot of speed in that Napoli front line. It could end up being decisive. Is he the one, given Romagnoli beside him, a little bit older, is he the one that drops off more and allows maybe, you know, those passes into space? Is he the guy that covers, sweeps everything up? Is he going to be that key part of AC Milan's defense? I think if he plays well, they've got a much bigger chance of winning this game. I think Napoli's defense need to play well as well. They have, you know, leaked goals in the last month or so, let's be honest. It's a difficult one to call.
Come on, Hugh. Who's winning it? Who's winning it? Come on.
I think the aggression of Spalletti, the plan of Spalletti, the need of his always to sort of live up to the big occasion and that larger than life personality. I think he drags his team through this. There are some quality players there. I imagine Insigne, Mertens will have a huge factor in this game. And I think Napoli will take it, but I think it'll be tight, probably 2-1. What do you think?
You're going 2-1. Well, I mean, I'm calling for you to make a prediction. I'm going to sit firmly on the fence on this one, because I think Napoli will probably dominate the bulk of the game and will create great chances with their interplay with some of these players coming back. You know, so many of those players were missing in that game against Empoli last week, and I expect the bulk of them to return. But it's Zlatan. You can never in a big game say no to Zlatan. So I expect Zlatan to score a goal, and I expect this game to finish as a draw, which is what neither team wants. Hi guys, James Alcott here from ESPN's Football Forecast. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and you want to check out more, make sure you subscribe to ESPN UK.